Most people think that if you want to cancel out market risk, you need options, puts, collars, something clever and expensive. You don't. I hedge the market exposure of my entire book without touching a single option. And there's a hard rule in this build: no options, ever. Today I'll show you how that works, what it costs me, and the one thing this hedge deliberately does not do. I'm Sandbox Theory. This channel documents a solo-built, hedge-fund-style trading system, U.S. large-cap equities, paper-traded through Alpaca, with a human confirmation gate before any live order goes out. I'm honest that it might not beat just buying an index. That's the whole point of doing this in public. Today is about one idea that organizes the entire book, and then one tool that uses it. The idea is sleeves versus overlays. The tool is a beta hedge. By the end, you'll understand why a hedge gets no risk budget, why it's linear, and why it is not crash insurance. Here's the mental model. Everything in my book is either a sleeve or an overlay. A sleeve is a strategy that's expected to make money on its own. It has an edge. Because it's supposed to make money, it gets a risk budget, a slice of the book's risk it's allowed to spend. A momentum sleeve, an earnings drift sleeve. Those are sleeves. They're the reason the book exists. An overlay is different. An overlay doesn't try to make money. Its job is to reshape the risk of the book that already exists. Because it's not an independent bet, it gets no budget of its own. Instead, it's sized off the book. It looks at what the sleeves have built, and it adjusts. The hedge is an overlay. It's not there to win. It's there to cancel a risk I didn't want in the first place. And keeping that distinction clean matters, because if you accidentally give a hedge a budget, you start judging it like a strategy, asking why it's losing money, when losing a little is literally its job. So picture it as layers. The sleeves are inside, each spending its budget trying to earn. The overlays sit on the outside, wrapping the whole thing, quietly changing its shape. That's the frame for everything else on this channel. Now the actual hedge. The problem it solves. My sleeves buy individual stocks, and stocks move with the market. Add them up, and the whole book has a market exposure, a beta. If the market drops, I'm dragged down with it, whether or not my stock picking was any good. I don't want to be paid or punished just for the market going up and down. I want to be paid for the sleeves being right. So I estimate the book's beta, how much it moves for a given market move, and I put on an offsetting position. The instrument is simple, SPY, the S&P 500 ETF, or the inverse, S&P ETF, SH, sized so that its market exposure roughly cancels the book's. If the book leans long the market, the hedge leans short the market by about the same amount. Add them together, and the market piece nets toward zero. What's left is the part I actually care about, whether my stocks beat the market. Two details that make it practical. First, it's sized from the book's estimated beta. The overlay reads the book and picks its own size. I don't type in a number. Second, it rebalances within a band. I don't re-hedge every tiny wiggle, because trading costs money and precision I can't actually measure. I let the net exposure drift inside a tolerance band, and only adjust when it leaves the band. Good enough, cheap, and it doesn't churn. And it connects to something from episode 7. The regime gate, the part of the system that reads whether we're in a risk-on or risk-off environment, doesn't just sit there. In risk-off markets, it lowers the hedge's net beta target, so the book carries less market exposure exactly when the market is the scariest. The overlay and the regime gate talk to each other. Now the honest part, because this is where people get seduced. This hedge is linear. That word does a lot of work. Linear means it cancels market moves in both directions, symmetrically. When the market falls, the hedge helps. But when the market rises, the hedge fights me. It costs upside. That's not a bug I'm going to fix. It's the deal. If you cancel the downside of market beta, you cancel the upside too. There's no free lunch hiding in here. And here's the part I really want you to hear, because it's the most common misunderstanding. A beta hedge is not crash insurance. In a crash, a linear hedge gives you roughly linear relief. Proportional, steady, boring. What it does not give you is convex, blows up in your favor protection. The kind where a small position pays off enormously when everything falls apart. That's what options can do, and I'm not using them. Real convex crash protection is a parked future idea. Something I've deliberately set aside, not something I've quietly skipped. In the current build, no options, ever, is a hard rule. So until that changes, be clear-eyed. I have a hedge that steadies the ride and costs me some upside. I do not have a parachute that opens in a disaster. Calling a linear hedge crash insurance would be exactly the kind of overselling this channel exists to avoid. So let me not overstate any of this. A beta hedge is an estimate sitting on top of an estimate. Beta itself is noisy. It's measured from past returns, and the future doesn't have to agree. The hedge can be too big or too small, and I won't know in real time. It costs trading friction, and it removes some of the upside that on a good year I'd have loved to keep. What it buys me is honesty. When I look at my results after the hedge, I'm looking closer to the thing I actually want to measure, whether the sleeves have an edge, instead of getting fooled by a rising market. That's the trade I'm choosing to make. It's a reasonable trade. It is not a magic one. If you want to see the code, how the overlay reads the book, estimates beta, and sizes S, PY, or SH inside its band, the repo is linked below. If the sleeves versus overlays frame made something click, a like genuinely helps this find other people who like their trading content free of hype. Next episode, we flip from overlays to sleeves, and to a specific kind of sleeve where the setup is unusual. Normally, news is just one input among many. But in this next strategy, the event itself is the trade. A confirmed earnings surprise opens the position, and we hold for a fixed window. That's episode 9, an earnings drift sleeve. See you there.